Hey guys, this is Ozzie from Wanderlust Awe Syndrome, where I provide unique views, advice, and stories for you, the passionate traveler. Today, we're going to finish part 3 of if you were offered $10 million, starting with your first letter of your name. In this case, my first letter is an A in my name, so we're going to do 4 more countries or areas to end this series. Let's begin. Before we do this, I want you to check out the other 2 videos I did on this series. I think they're really interesting. See my views, my ratings, and why I rate it as such. So check them out. How I rate this is based on livability, lifestyle, and likeability. Australia, the only country in the world that's also a continent. The country has indigenous culture going back for more than 65,000 years. Famous for having unique animals found commonly only within its borders, such as kangaroos, its stunning array of wildlife separates the country from the rest of the world. It has many famous natural wonders such as the Great Barrier Reef and architecture marvels such as the Sydney Opera House. Livability, 9 out of 10. Lifestyle, 9.7 out of 10. Likeability, 10 out of 10. I've been to Australia. It is a phenomenal country. It is very awesome. I went to places such as Sydney, Melbourne, and Cairns. In Australia, I can't say enough. I love the country. It is a big country and there's so much to see and do that I hope to go back and see the other parts, such as Western Australia. Obviously, as I mentioned before, it has many marvels to look at, such as the Great Barrier Reef or the Sydney Opera House. When you go to those places, you are going to fall in love and enjoy Australia. When you go to places like Sydney and Melbourne, for some reason those 2 cities in Australia are trying to have bragging rights and saying that they're the best cities. I would say that Sydney has a more American feel to it. I thought that there was a lot of things that I was like, wow, I feel like I'm back in the States. Sydney is very electrifying. It's something's always going on, it seems, when you're in Sydney, and it's phenomenal. There's always some kind of celebration of some sort, it seems, every month, and it is a phenomenal city to visit. Melbourne, on the other hand, is more European style, and I feel like when you're there, you just feel like you're in Europe. It's an awesome feeling when you're there. Especially when you go through the fall out there. It's really amazing to see Melbourne. It's a beautiful city. They got a lot of trains and trams to use to go throughout the city. I found Melbourne to be really awesome. Now, I must admit that Melbourne, a lot of stuff closes early when you're out there compared to Sydney. So it's really interesting to see how both cities operate during the day and nighttime. So just to let you know that they have their own differences when you're out there. I got to go to Cairns, which is awesome, which led me to the Great Barrier Reef. Trust me, when you're out there, if you decide to scuba dive, it's worth doing. Also, if you're not big into scuba diving, snorkeling is just as beautiful as scuba diving. You won't see as much compared to scuba diving, but it is still beautiful. It is very awesome. The reason I've rated it as such is because one thing about Australia is it tends to be very expensive. It's a very expensive country to live, but it is what it is, even though it is a continent unto itself. If I were to move out to Australia, it would be a long flight. It would be over a day and a half to go from one country to the United States and back. Another issue is, Australia has some of the most dangerous animals in the world. You have many of the most poisonous animals in the world that can kill you with one bite. For many people, that's a very much turn off. I have to say that if you're in the main cities, chances are you won't see any of these animals unless you're living in the wilderness or the outback. On the flip side of that, Australia has some of the coolest animals in the world. One of my favorite animals out there is the wallaby. I love the wallaby. I wish I can take the wallaby back home as a pet. I think they're the most awesome pets or animals in the world. Also, you got the wombat, you got some penguins that are specifically for Australia. Australia has a lot of cool animals, even though there are some very deadly ones out there. Austria, a landlocked country in Central Europe, it's a German-speaking country popular for winter sports. The magnificent views of the Alps offer a peaceful retreat for those who visit. Even though its other cousin Germany speaks the same language, has similar culture and history, Austria separates itself from its neighbor from its proud national identity. Livability, 9.3 out of 10. Lifestyle, 9.4 out of 10. Likeability, 9.1 out of 10. Alright, so Austria is a country I do want to visit. It's really interesting. Obviously, Austria is famous for a lot of things, such as music and chocolate, for instance. The issue I have is, one, it's very expensive. Probably more expensive than Australia because the country's with the euro. So $10 million would not be $10 million in the euro. It'd be more something like 8 to 9 million euros. So cost of living in Austria would be very, very high. That would be a turn off for me. Even so, it has winter sports. Something I would like to do and learn is how to snowboard. That'd be an awesome opportunity to see the beautiful landscape of the Alps. I think the Alps are really cool to see. On top of that, you have countries next door to it, such as Germany and a bunch of other countries that I could go visit. Because I'm in the Euro, I can be able to go to many parts of Europe and see a lot of Europe while still living there. So not only do I get the natural beauty and the chance to exercise because of the Alps and be able to ski and snowboard, I also get to visit other countries, which is awesome. The people there, from what I gathered, they are very loose, conservative, but lighthearted, if that makes any sense. What I mean by that is that they do tend to hold on to conservative values for Austria. So they do want to reminisce the days of when Austria was a major power in Europe and at a certain extent throughout the world. Azerbaijan, a former Soviet country, is part of the Caucasus region. Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, and the Caspian Sea surround the country. Known as the Land of Fire, the country has historical references as being such, and the famous Yanar Dag burns continuously from the underground natural gas. Livability, 7.1 out of 10. Lifestyle, 5.8 out of 10. Likeability, 7.3 out of 10. Alright, so Azerbaijan, there's not that much information that I could find about it, about living there, but I'm sure with the $10 million I would have, I would be able to get a lot further with Azerbaijan than the other two mentioned countries. Azerbaijan is a Muslim country, so there will be some standards. It will be a dry country, so if you want to drink alcohol, chances are it's not going to be there, which is fine with me because I don't really drink that much alcohol. The hard part is that the language. It would be hard for me to learn the language. Obviously, I would hire a translator, try to learn the language as soon as possible to be able to communicate with the people. Because Azerbaijan is a small country, it's landlocked, and doesn't get many visitors, the people there are very tight-knit to each other, so It makes it a very safe country because people know what's going on within the country. On top of that, they are very strict with the Muslim religion. I would feel very safe in that country. I wouldn't feel like my life was in danger if I was in the country. Now, there is conflict with its neighbor, Armenia. That's been going on for quite a while, but I don't think both countries want to go to war with each other. I think they want to have peace. Azerbaijan sits next to Turkey, which is awesome because I love Turkey. I did a video on Turkey. Go check that one out. And to go into Turkey would be phenomenal. So it's good to have a country like Turkey sitting next to Azerbaijan to be able to go into said country. People are so close-knit that it would be hard to break in that niche. It would take a while. If I wanted to work or even start a business, it would be a challenge because of how close-knit the people are and how long it would take to build the trust of the people in Azerbaijan. So it would take a while to do anything, even though I have all this money to be able to start a business or provide work to the people. And that's another thing that I hear about Azerbaijan is that the job prospect, a lot of people there are very poor out there and there's not a whole lot of job prospects. Trying to look for work is very difficult. It would be very challenging because I don't speak the language out there and I would have to deal with it. So that's my ratings. The biggest reason I gave the ratings that I did high was because of safety. Safety is a big thing. I think that's what many travelers want when they go out. Can they be safe? Will they be able to return in one piece? Also, I think the country has a cool nickname at least, the Land of Fire, Antarctica. Even though it is not a country, it's worth mentioning as it starts with the letter A. Livability, 0 out of 10. Lifestyle, 0 out of 10. Likability, 10 out of 10. For many passionate travelers, Antarctica is a dream destination. Honestly, the low scores are because you're gonna sit in the middle of a frozen tundra desert. There's nothing to do out there. There's nothing special to go to, so you can't go to a sporting event, you can't go to a grocery store. Life in Antarctica is not for the faint-hearted. You have to have a certain mindset to even think about living in Antarctica. It's just not easy. Not that many people can or will do it. I know I wouldn't want to move out there. With $10 million, what would I do with $10 million if I'm sitting in Antarctica? There's nothing for me to spend the money on. So having $10 million out there would be 100% useless. I can't do anything with it. So I'd be sitting with a load of cash, freezing bricks of cash with nothing to spend, and it would be just not worth it. So lifestyle and livability are honestly out of the question. Now, the reason I gave it a 10 out of 10 because it's Antarctica. It is land that's not really habitable. If people don't habit the area, so if I wanted some alone time, that'd be the actual place to go to. Even though I have to deal with the freezing cold temperatures that are like, geez, minus 50 something degrees. I mean, I can't even just think that it's freezing me up right now. But it'd be cool to see, especially at the coast, to see the animals come out, such as the whales, the penguins, the seals. You know, that's awesome. Another interesting feature is that there are no polar bears out in Antarctica. How that happened, I don't know. Have all the polar bears up in the Arctic, but none in Antarctica. That is really cool. So you never have to worry about a polar bear attack coming at you if you were to live in Antarctica. Now, the nights can be short depending on the season, and it can be very cold and miserable, something I wouldn't want to experience for too long. But I still think Antarctica is one destination I would love to visit. I would deal with the freezing cold just to visit there at least once. Would I live there? No, hell no. I would never even consider it. You could pay me enough money. You could pay me trillions of dollars. The answer is no. I would not live and move into Antarctica because it just would not be worth it. I love the warmth. I love the heat. I can't stand cold. That would be too much cold for me for too long, and it would drive me nuts.
Hi, my name is Ozzie and you're on my channel, Wanderlust Awe Syndrome. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and share this video, and come along with my journey as I explore the world and sharing unique views, advice, and stories.